Good morning, everyone, or afternoon. I am getting potatoes ready to plant in my garden. I bought 2 boxes right here of the, what is that, Red Norlands. 2 boxes of them. And there's 8 seeds in each one, or 8 potatoes. And as you see, most of them are pretty small. They're small potatoes, but you can cut them in half. And probably 24 hours to 48 hours before you plant them, you go ahead and cut them like this. So you end up, I bought 8 in 2 boxes, so I had 16 of them, and now I got 32 halves right here. Anyway, when you cut them in half, you got to make sure there's eyes on each half. And these little indents like that, those are what is the eyes, those things right there. And you got to at least have one eye. More is better. If the potatoes are really small, then you can plant the whole potato if it's only got 1 or 2 eyes on the whole potato. But all these had plenty of eyes, and they had lots of growth on them already out of the eyes. So I just cut them. I'm going to let them sit for at least 24 hours. That way they build a scab across the cut spot where it dries out, because if you put it in the dirt like this, bacteria is going to get right in there from the dirt, and it could cause adverse problems or with your plant, putting some kind of virus or something in it. And we don't want viruses. Right now we're fighting lots of viruses. Anyway, so I got 32 of these halves, so that will plant me a pretty good little bunch. And these are the red potatoes. And I'm waiting for the russets to get in so I can plant a bunch of russets. Those ones actually store better. These red potatoes don't store as well. Then I'm going to stagger plant them in my garden, so they won't all be ready about the same time. But you can start digging up your plants in about a month and a half to 2 months and start getting the little tiny new potatoes off of them. But anyway, these guys will be ready tomorrow or the next day after they get it starts drying out, like I said right there, because then it gets a scab covering on it and protects them. And I got some potatoes right here sitting here, and I got them in the sun, and it's nice and warm, and you can see that some of them are starting to grow on their eyes. It's the little white right there. Since potatoes are extremely nutritious, I am going to make sure I plant a lot of those this year. My garden's probably going to be half potatoes. And I got these in my little potato bin I got. And these are store-bought potatoes here. And they have started to grow. So I have a few potatoes in there that are growing. So I shall go ahead and try planting those also and see how well they do. It's the only difference between seed potatoes and store-bought potatoes. Most store-bought potatoes get a spray on them to keep them from sprouting or to slow down their sprout process. You can still use them in your garden, but until they start to actually grow like these, then there's a chance that they won't grow, or it'll be so delayed that you won't get a very good harvest on them. So you want to make sure you got some growth on them like this before you plant them. You hear all this stuff about, oh, you don't want to use store-bought ones because you're transferring, you could be transferring diseases and stuff like that. Well, that's exactly the same as what seed potatoes are. They're just grown the same way, and then they're just not sprayed with any chemicals. So anyway, we'll see how these do. Let them sit out in the sun for a few days. But if I do get me some russet potatoes in, where I can get me some seed russet potatoes, I will go ahead and plant those. But they just don't seem to be showing up in the store right now. Walmart's not carrying them. They got the reds and they got the golds and all that stuff, but those ones don't have a good storage life, especially those gold ones. But those golden Yukons or whatever, the Yukon golds. And they said they're not going to get any russets. They already got what they're going to get in. So waiting for the feed stores around here. They usually get potatoes in, but hopefully, because it's getting about time to get everything in the ground. I want to be planting them over the next month so I can cycle or have several months of harvest out of them. But anyway, you all have a good one. This is my project I'm working on, and I will probably plant those reds tomorrow afternoon or the following day in 48 hours, depending on how much scab they built on them. Alright, y'all. Have a good one. Stay safe.